You're out in the fresh air all the time, and it's a passion, and it's just a way of life. And they say if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. And I think a lot of farmers will say that that is how it is. I'm Becka Stables, I'm 28 years old, and I'm a fourth generation farmer, farming 580 acres alongside my family at Lowbank End and Newhall Farm in Appleby, just outside of Cumbria. We milk 90 to 100 dairy cows, Friesian cows, and they're in through the winter and they go out onto the grass through the summer. We have we buy in 8 to 10 month Limousin heifers, which we fatten up and finish and supply to our local butchery in Appleby, Dowdings. We grow 130 acres of winter and spring barley, which we use to feed all our cattle on and bed all our cattle on. And we have our own machinery for the silage and the harvest, so we don't need to rely on the contractors when the weather's quite catchy. My great-grandparents came to the farm in 1937. My granddad bought Lowbank End in 1980. In between sort of renting and buying Lowbank End, we bought Newhall Farm in 1974. So it works quite well. The two farms run side by side together. We are very much a low input, low output system, but it works for us. You know, they say if it works, don't change it. We do have people that, we do have farmers that buy a few of our young heifers, just because they find that because they've come from a farm that's not pushed them, you know, to produce mass litres, they do last a bit longer and they stay a little bit healthier. Growing up on a farm, I was my dad's shadow since I could walk and talk. You'd find me out in the field with the sheep. We used to have sheep before foot and mouth. You'd find me going and checking on them, or I'd be pretending to fix a tractor with some spanners like I would see my dad doing sometimes. I think it was in me from quite a young age that this was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a farmer. I just loved everything about it. And I think growing up on a farm, it gives you, it's like a sense of freedom and adventure when you're young. You know, there's all this space to go and get outdoors and have a lot of fun. I think sort of from the age of 14 and 15, I was gaining more responsibility on the farm, definitely more on the milking side of things, especially, you know, at silage time or at harvest time. I would come home from school and me and my granddad would get the cows in and we would milk while, you know, the other lot were on getting the crops in. I think it was sort of 15, 16 when I really got a lot more responsibility on the machinery side of things, when I was that bit older and a bit more mature to be able to handle like such big machinery. But the oldest piece of machinery we have is the Massey Ferguson 178, which is just behind me. My granddad bought that brand new in 1969, thinking if we ever went into silage, we would have a tractor that was big enough to do it. However, by the time we went into silage in 1980, the tractor wasn't big enough for the job anymore. So it's become a bit of a family heirloom. It's just been put into retirement. It's been scraping the cows out every day, twice a day. But she's just starting to have a few problems now. So we thought we would put her into retirement and hopefully we'll be able to do a bit of work on her and get her back to a former glory. Growing up from a young age, I don't remember seeing many females in agriculture. But now you see a lot, and I don't think it's just in agriculture, it's across the board, you know, maybe in factories, driving wagons, and I think that's a really good thing to see. So yeah, and I know a lot of my friends are into farming as well, female farmers, so that's really good as well. I think it's really important to keep in touch with friends, and it's difficult because is there ever really a quiet time on the farm? But you have got to have things to look forward to with friends and family. And I think maybe taking time out from social media when things in the world are seeming a bit overwhelming, like they can be at the moment with the inheritance tax. But I think for me, in terms of my mental health, when I've gone through difficult things in the past, the farm's been something for me that's always been a constant and that's always been a normal part of life. You know, the cows were still to milk in the morning, the day-to-day jobs throughout the seasons were still to do, and it was really good just to have that normal bit of life carrying on, and just making you get out and keep going, really. It's a part of your life. It's not a job, it's just a part of your life. I think what makes it challenging is the public's perception of farming. And I think that comes through lack of education and lack of knowledge about farming as well. You know, we put in long hours, you know, it's tough sometimes, you can have some rough days, but we're just trying to make good quality produce and food for the public. And I think if it was brought into schools and educated in schools to children and young people, I think it would help them see what it is that we do and why we do it, and the standard to what we have to do it to. It's all right taking pictures and videos when the sun's shining and everything's going really well, but it's in those tough days, you know, that, you know, you maybe have a cow calving and you lose the calf. I think people forget that is a part of farming, and I think, you know, it is hard when you have that loss, so maybe to show that side of it more would be really good, so that people appreciate why we do it. I think if you are born onto a farm and it's your family farm, and it makes it a lot easier to get into farming. But I think people don't realise that you don't have to be from a farming background to farm. You know, you can go to college and learn all about it. You know, find a farmer that's willing to give his time and show you the ropes and teach you all about it, because it is such a great way of life. Going back to social media, you know, there's people on there that have had nothing to do with farming that are farmers now, and you know, you can watch their videos, you can see what they're doing on social media, and it makes it feel possible. Going back sort of 3 or 4 years ago, here at the farm we had a really good year for yields of crops. Our sheds were full of barley, our barns were full with straw, and that was really good to see, because it's like all that hard work and that care that you've put into growing that crop and harvesting it. It makes it feel really good, and it's a good sense of pride when it comes off and it yields really well. I think the last 2 years have been quite tough in farming. We've had some really wet weather, and it's ended up washing a lot of our fields out, waterlogging them, and we've had a few crops fail and a few crops not do so well, and that's really shown this last year, that having 2 years on the trot with wet weathers, it has a really bad knock-on effect. Everybody's struggling for that crop, and therefore those that are selling the crops, the prices go up, and then it becomes a concern of how much you're going to end up paying to get the crop that you need, you know, to buy it. You've just got to keep going. You've just got to put one foot in front of the other, and I guess just think that, you know, it's not going to be like this all the time, and you've just got to remember why you do it. For me, seeing what my great-grandparents came here, and then seeing what my granddad's built for us over the years, and then my dad and my uncles built for me as a fourth generation to keep going, I feel incredibly lucky, and I think if you're proud and you're passionate, it helps to pick you up. My granddad used to say, don't put off for tomorrow what you can get done today, which I always think's a really good piece of advice. You know, you've got to get as much as you can done in the day, because tomorrow you don't know what tomorrow's challenges are going to bring. There's a wide range of skills that you need, But I think the ones that stick out for me are you've got to be good with accounts and kind of know what your money's doing, where it's going, things like that. I think you have to have a keen eye for your stock. You need to look after them. And I think you need to be good at handling machinery and keeping it well maintained as well, so that it's less likely to let you down when you need it the most. My favourite place on the farm is a field just up the back of the farm. It kind of looks down onto it all, and we're lucky to have the fells in the background. And from up there you can kind of see most of our land. And when I'm working up there, I just feel so lucky to be doing what I'm doing where I'm doing it, and really proud as well, because it's like this little piece of the world is ours to farm and to produce food for the country. I enjoy spring. It feels like a bit of a fresh start, you know, the days are getting longer, the weather should be starting to warm up slightly, the fields are greening up, and you can get out and work in the fields again and not be trudging around in puddle. Farmers will do what they can to sort of protect the environment. Not that we don't anyway, but you know, schemes in terms of planting hedges and things like that, which might not otherwise get done. You see a lot on social media of, well, you know, farmers are just like the rest of us, why can't they just get on and pay the tax kind of thing? But I don't think they realise just how devastating the inheritance tax could be to farms, and I think it's just going to prove to be a really difficult few years ahead, and I think we all need to stick together as a farming community and keep putting our opinions forward and shouting out about why this is wrong. Let's put it this way, the country can't do without us. You know, we provide food and you need food. So on the farm, I have high hopes for our future, but I do generally worry about farming in general, because a lot of farms are going to really struggle. And you know, if you have farms going out of business, who's buying them farms and what are they going to do with them? And hopefully we can turn it round and we can make it be great again, you know, a good place to work, a good thing to do. We just need the government to get behind us. My dad's been my biggest influence in my farming career. He, I think, is just such a good example of what a farmer should be and what farmers are all about. He's really good at what he does, he's passionate about what he does, and looking up to him from a young age, I don't think I could have picked a better role model. My granddad, he's been a big influence on me. He's a big part of why the farm is how it is today, and you know, he's got it to how it is today. And back in the olden days, or the good old days as he would say, you know, it wasn't easy. He made do with what he had at the time to buy the farm, you know, to make it better for the future. And my uncle's been a big influence on me, particularly on the stock side. He spent a lot of time showing me, you know, the milking side of things and how to look after the animals and things like that. So them three together, I think I've had some pretty good role models. They actually won Northern Farmer of the Year in 2003, so that's something that they're quite proud of, and I'm quite proud to say that they achieved. A highlight in my career has been when my husband came to work alongside us in October. You know, I always hoped that one day I would find someone that was as passionate about farming as what I was and enjoyed doing it as much as I do, and hopefully be there to be the fourth generation to carry it on. And Jamie's been all of those things. So to have him come back and work alongside us as part of the team was really, really exciting, because as a family we got on really, really well, which I think is something that's maybe quite rare in farming.